The following is a presentation of Geekster Media.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Thrift Store Horde. We are back from our hunting. We have been going to flea markets. We have been going to garage sales. We have been going to the antique malls and, of course, the thrift stores to find treasures from yesteryear. And we are happy to be back to share them with you this month. Oh, we got some fun stuff indeed. But I'm Adam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Kevin.
Yes, indeed. All right, so guys, I know we've got our piles all set up. They're always just off camera, right? We can pull them out, just magically they appear. There we go. Now they're all off camera. So let's get into it here. Is anybody raring to go that's got a pile that's burning a hole on their desk?
I got a pretty big pile. I'll get started. Normally we do the media and break it into categories. Well, I think I got a category that's its own special category. I went to a estate sale last week, and they were a collector of things. And one of the things was Beanie Babies, which I didn't take any of those home with me. But the other one was everybody's big, fat orange cat.
Oh,
So they had a lot of
Timely.
Garfield stuff. So starting off with, we got some Garfield coloring pencils. They had a bunch of stuff that was just still sealed up in boxes and stuff. So I'm like, I love school supplies, and Garfield was a fan of mine. So Garfield felt tip marker, silly stuff like a Garfield ruler.
I've seen that one. I remember that one.
Some Garfield jumbo pencils. You know, after school, you got to brush your teeth with some Garfield toothbrushes. I didn't realize Garfield had a soundtrack, but apparently he does. So the Garfield soundtrack, featuring songs by nobody I know. So I don't know if these are just written or these are, I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
One of those songs inspired by the comic strip.
Could be. Or they may be off soundtrack off of like specials and stuff for the TV. A mostly sealed Garfield snack pack, which I haven't been able to convince either of my kids to try yet.
Wow, I got mine right here.
Oh, really? Nice. What's the next? Oh, I didn't buy all of them, but I did buy the Christmas ones. Some Garfield stuff catalogs. So basically, Garfield was as marketed as heavily as Kiss at one point in time and had their own catalog of Garfield goodies, which I'm sure I actually know that this person that I bought some stuff from ordered from this catalog.
I bet.
Continuing on with the school supplies, very nice Garfield Peachy. Some Garfield coloring books, because everybody knows by now that I love coloring books. These are all uncolored in. Going back to some Garfield Dead media. I've never seen one in the package before, but the read in book and tape, golden. I have a stack of these things, but I don't have them in the package, so it's fun to find it in the package for a fair price. Kevin, this one's for you because I know you love awkward things. A Garfield party game. Pin the tail on Garfield.
So I don't know how Adam's gonna edit this, but just blur my mouth because I almost slipped up there for a moment. That is the most absurd. I kind of want it, but that is the most absurd thing.
It was, and it was like $1, so I had to grab it. It was pretty ridiculous.
Oh God, yeah.
Remember when we all had to cover our textbooks before all the kids had Chromebooks? We had to cover our textbooks to ensure that they didn't get damaged. So some Garfield book covers. Of course, I never got the fancy ones. I always had to use the paper bags and then decorate them myself.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then one of the big treasures from that was this awesome Garfield Mead Trapper Keeper. Looks like it's never been used. So that was like the first thing I saw when I walked in, and I had to grab it. I was like, okay, this is this is mine. And then I just kept finding room after room of Garfield stuff. And
That
then the one other crazy Garfield thing before I pass it off is a sealed Garfield cake decorating kit, complete with pan, I think edible stickers potentially, or no, punch out decorations, cardboard decorations to go over the top, but still sealed. So I think we've talked in the past. I love cookbooks and baking, and so I love it when all my interests combine to join to meet the unholy alliance that is the Garfield cake pan.
That is a way to kick off this session here, because man, I'm just imagining the amount of orange all throughout that house with all the Garfield stuff, and if it was ever on display or if it was always in bins, like my mind boggles. Um, let me get into. I just have a few books here that I wanted to share. This first one here was actually pretty interesting. You guys might actually know about this book. This is for Brian Cronin, who's over at Comic Book Resources, and he's had a column for years, like Comic Book Legends Revealed and all that. So this is like a collection of just lots of weird, like top 10 lists and like strange comic book trivia. And it was fun to find this just at Goodwill, just sitting around. So that was cool. But going more vintage, I did find this strawberry shortcake book. Now this was obviously one that came with a tape, but what's interesting is it's super cheap. It's all just black and white. Like I feel like they're not even like colored in. It's just like sketches. So that was kind of weird to me because I was just like, I guess maybe it was supposed to be a coloring book and that was the point, but still, I'm used to like a full storybook production, you know? This is just for my Halloween mood table this year, but the M&M's Halloween treat book, and I have another one of these that's just more generic, but the idea is that it's a counting book for kids, and you drop the M&Ms in these little circles here, and then so they can count them, and then they can eat, so that was cool. I sold like a big collection of these for a pretty good amount a couple months back, so I'm trying to rebuild a new collection. But the Sweet Pickles books, so slowly, and this is what I didn't have before. This is kind of cool because this isn't like the main line. This is now like stories within the Sweet Pickles universe. So that was cool. This is one that I collect a lot of these, and I have all the larger sized ones. But these Cabbage Patch Kids book, this is the one that actually came with the cassette tape that you could listen to. So that's the difference. I'm trying to see. Oh yeah. But this was a former library copy, but this is just a smaller size version of what I already have. Another one for Halloween here. I have a copy, but it was not in as nice a condition as this one, but another Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but it's just in great shape. Like it's not bent on the spine or anything. So that was just beautiful. Uh, this is one my youngest wanted to watch episode 1, and I know it's been released back in theaters of Star Wars recently. So he got to know Jar Jar for the first time. So I bought this. Watch out, Jar Jar. He did not want to read it for bedtime. I think he's actually creeped out by Jar Jar, if I'm being honest. But the last one here, this was really cool. This is a favorite topic for a lot of people. They go back and they want a sticker album, right? So this is a vintage sticker album. This is funny to me though, because they're all like generic stickers, and then right on the back is Woody Woodpecker. It's like one licensed character. But inside, of course, so this girl wrote in here, she even counted, how many was it total? 110 stickers total in here. And again, most of them are pretty generic. There's a lot of Thanksgiving stickers and turkeys and things like that. Like it's not super impressive until you start getting to the middle point. And now we got a Ronald McDonald, which is awesome. Loving seeing that. And then where's the next one here? More Thanksgiving. There's Mr. Happy. And then where's the last one here? Oh yeah, so then there's some Barbie stickers, which are kind of cool. And then, yeah, in the back, there he is, finally, Woody Woodpecker. So, as promised by the cover. but that was just kind of fun. It's something I can add to if I find some more vintage stickers I want to put in there. But anyway, that's my first pile here. That's the book run. But what do you got, Kevin?
All right. So two things here. One, we've been doing this a while. Sometimes I buy things and they don't go in the right pile. So it is possible I have shown a couple things in this pile before and they just didn't get sorted. So apologies ahead of time if that's the case. The other thing is, and this also comes up on the show, we don't plan this out. None of us know what the other is brought. If anyone watching thinks there's like a behind the scenes, you're wrong. Because on top of the pile I have here to go first are stickers.
Hey! Wow.
So DC stickers, that Supergirl look pretty much dates it. And then I remember this chain. I loved it. I don't know about you guys, but they came from Farmhouse. And oh my god, I loved Farmhouse when I was younger. How can I describe it? Like department store, but not quite a Hills or Ames level. But like a glorified pharmacy, Farmhouse, like really just a glorified pharmacy. But they also had an entire video rental section in the store. So when my mom would go to like do her shopping, and I don't remember all the stuff that was in there, but I know she could spend like a good 2 hours shopping, going up and down the shelves, finding stuff. She would just tell my brother and I, go to the video rental thing. When I get there, you had best decide what you're going to get. And we would kill a good hour or two just going through all the videos there. So yeah, I mean, like, super cool to
That's
find
great.
it.
Yeah.
So this, I really don't remember if I showed these or not. I am trying. I have a whole list of projects I want to do. One of them is I'm trying to find some horror comics that I saw when I was younger, and I was so scared that I threw them under the bed and then threw them away. I do not remember what they're from. I just remember it was a black and white horror magazine, because that narrows it down. So anytime I'm finding them or collections, I'm seeing what, if I can, and I have, it involved cannibals. That's all I remember. Like, I will remember when I see it, but I don't remember enough. So I've started a collection. So I got, trying it. This is just weird. And it looks like it is from Eerie Publications, which makes sense, and Horror Tales. So I'm just, if I see them, I'm going to grab it. That's also from Eerie. I did find out one of the digital services from one of the libraries has a giant collection of eerie and creepy and Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. So I'm going to sit down and try to read through those.
Yeah.
To continue with black and white comics / not quite comics, Adam, I don't know if this is going to be mentioned on Wizards or not. Amalgam Age of Comics, DC versus Marvel, stuff like that. It's the showdown of the century between BS and Marvel Comics from Cracked.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't even know that like Cracked went that, because that's almost like comic book worthy art that's different than their normal. I mean, there's some cartoons to it, but that's pretty good. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it looks fantastic. And I can't wait to, deep dive on it here. They also it's Cracked Super. If it's super, it's about superheroes, I guess. So we also have Super Cracked featuring the X-Lax Men. And we got a little problem there with the bathrooms there at Xavier's. Regular Cracked, though. This has got to be, November 91. I'm like, just to see the cover. Tiny Toon Adventures and Looney Tunes.
Which is weird, right? That one doesn't even look like it's parodying anything.
No, it looks like it's a Warner Brothers magazine. Like, here, check out Tiny Toons coming this fall. Yeah, there's nothing on it that looks cracked or mad or whatever. Continue with a little bit of horror. Actually, I should have brought this up before first. I was thinking for the horror, but it would have worked for stickers because it's a Nightmare on Elm Street sticker album.
What in the world? That's awesome.
So it's got all the sticker spots for it and everything. Like the album looks kind of cheaply made, but honestly, how much work would you have put into it? The whole point's to get colorful stickers, you know?
Yeah, I want to track down some of those packs now. I didn't know that was a thing.
Be sure
I
and
have some,
collect
Chris, you
all
have the packs?
264.
I have blue stickers for it. Not a ton, just a handful.
Okay. Cool.
Gotta start somewhere. I grabbed it. I know what this magazine was when it originally came out, and I'm sorry, but it's not the same. But Famous Monsters, a more recent one. If you find the old ones, grab it. That's where all the good stuff is. This is just like selling me on what the latest DVDs are. Now I was kind of upset. This is the same Horror Hound, but for some reason I was more accepting of it. I'm not sure why. I can't guess why this one went over with me more.
I
Weird.
wonder.
I wonder. Oh, strange. But speaking of Adam, actually, no, let me do one first. Comics Buyer's Guide. It's not quite Wizard. It doesn't have the same thing. So at this point, if I see one and the cover's cool or there's one article, I'm gonna go for it. But that's not a magazine that I feel like needs to be collected in full. But the Screen Arrow Black Canary cover is beautiful. It's the only reason I grabbed it. I will forgive you for not calling me for the Dawn episode, Adam. But I found a different redheaded comic. So a Red Sonja retrospective there. But as much as these larger black and white oversized things are, a lot of times for comics, if they're that size, it's because it's not going to pass the comics code at the time. They know they're going in places that they shouldn't. Usually it's violence, sometimes a little naughty, but rarely is it because the humor is just so adult. We need to go oversized. Before it was a cartoon, it was an oversized comic.
Wow.
So I don't know what fourth printing, which shocks me. So that's really not bad. But like original Tick is great. It's so cool. Like you can tell exactly what inspired it, but the fact that this became what Tick is now is absurd. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sell it, but fourth printing honestly is probably worth something at this point for a black and white, often reprinted comic.
Mm-hmm.
But Arthur's on the back of this, a couple of characters, but there's a lot I'm not familiar with. It reminds me of when Jim Lee did the print in X-Men #1, like here's the next year of the title coming up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
who's
cool.
that character? Who's that? Yeah. So yeah, I dig through the magazine bins now.
That's great.
There's a whole lot of junk, but eventually you find cool stuff.
Cool. All right, Chris, we're back to you.
All right, we'll keep up with the book stuff. I love Garfield, but my actual love for the cartoon character of my childhood is the little white and black dog and his owner. So I found this book. My Peanuts collection is still bigger than my Garfield collection. I feel like there's way more Garfield stuff out there, so it'll probably eventually overtake it. But I do have a lot of Peanuts stuff, and I typically grab the Peanuts stuff whenever I see it. Digging through the Goodwill bins, I love finding these old kids magazines from the 70s and 80s. Dynamite magazine. This one's still good because it still has the poster attached.
Does it have the comic with those like Wonder Twins style kids that can transform? They have the rings that they bash together.
I didn't see that one in this one, but I didn't really dig. There's a section on Spider-Man though.
Oh.
Superheroes Confidential. Intimate pics and facts of comic stars' pasts. This month we spy on Spider-Man. But it's got some neat stuff. I love these types of magazines, and it does have the transfers for your t-shirt if you really want to be a Dynamite kid. We'll just keep with the books for now. Golden books. My Golden book collection continues to grow with Darkwing Duck.
Cool.
Oh, and going back to Dynamite, here's another book I found in the bins, the Dynamite Party book. So it's how to throw a dynamite party. And it's from Scholastic Book Services. So you got games like Monster Tag Along and Creepy Feely Feelings.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I know. Different time. Different time.
Damage control.
Yep. Going to the coloring books. Found this at a different estate sale that was local to me. Unfortunately, it has some coloring done on it, but there are some pages that are still clean. So it's going to go into the thing, and the pages aren't that bad either. Normally, like when you see kids that have colored, they're really pretty horrible. This kid stayed in the lines, probably better than I'm going to do when I finally sit down to color it. You brought up Strawberry Shortcake, and I got a different version of Strawberry Shortcake, one of the big books.
Oh yeah.
So the art on these is a lot different looking than like the regular Strawberry Shortcake, which has always been interesting to me because it's contemporary with what we think of when we think of that 80s Strawberry Shortcake, but it's more like, I almost consider it like fairy tale style from like something you get in the 60s or 70s. Or illustrated by Mercedes Limona. And then this one was pretty interesting. I managed to get it for magazine price in the bins. Kevin may appreciate this. Cheech Wizard Volume 1. Underground comic from like the 70s and 80s. So 50-cent find in the Goodwill bins.
That one comes up all the time on eBay when I'm searching for Wizard magazine stuff. That one pops up.
And
Cheech Wizard, huh?
Yep. Definite like 70s, 80s style, like acid drug culture underground comic.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 books I got was at a meet up with some buddies of mine, and we just doing a swap meet. There's probably about 20-30 of us showed up, trading toys and selling stuff back and forth to each other. And I don't know why I grabbed these, because I already have 4 or 5 copies of the non-special edition ones, but I picked up the special edition Dungeons and Dragons version 3.5 books, so they're a lot nicer. The art is definitely different. It's shinier. It's got that thing, but as the player's handbook, the monster manual, and the Dungeon Master's Guide. So again, I have multiple copies of all these books in various editions, but I'm still one of those where it's like, oh, here's a copy I don't have, so I need to get that.
Totally.
My bookshelf. All right, that's all I got for books right now.
All right, then I'm gonna get into some DVDs, some VHS, but this one I have it in many formats, but I just decided if I see Batman '89 in a very nice DVD case, I'm gonna grab that. It's the old flipping open ones, but that was just kind of nice to grab that. Then I also grabbed this one. She fascinates me as an icon of her era, but Avril Lavigne, like just this, I want to know what she was saying about her world at this time. You know what I'm saying? The early 2000s angst, you know? So that'll be interesting because I think it has a concert and then it has like music videos and stuff. This one was cool though. Dark Angel. I feel like James Cameron productions sometimes are harder to come by. This probably is streaming somewhere, but maybe not and I wanted to hedge my bets because we're probably going to cover this on Remember That Show, William Bruce West and I. So it's got some commentaries, it's got some other stuff on that. So I was like, okay, let's grab it. It was cheap. Then as far as VHS goes here, this was one that didn't have a case, but I had to grab it anyway, because this is Prime Cut's Heavy Metal. Okay. Which it only has like, I don't know, maybe like 6 music videos on it, but it's like 2 from each band, but it's got Ozzy Osbourne and it's got Judas Priest and it's got stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that's a little fun one to grab. Speaking of music though, this was really interesting. Hanna-Barbera Country Rock. Now, this is part of HBTV. You guys probably know about the DTV, right? Where Disney took like, music of the 80s, but also like classic rock and set it to their cartoons. This is a total ripoff of that. Except that it's bands. It's like Creedence Clearwater Revival shows up several times, the Allman Brothers Band and stuff like that, Kenny Rogers. So anyway, it's just kind of a unique little slice of history there. Another one, I keep finding these tapes and I'm excited, these Just for Kids tapes. But this one's Beverly Hills Teens, which I see come up a lot because I search for Troop Beverly Hills stuff, but it's not what I watched in the 80s. But it's really interesting, this series, because yeah, it's totally like Dynasty as a cartoon or something, it's that kind of thing. Managed to pick up Brain Scan. This one has a little bit of value to it because it's early 90s horror with Eddie Furlong. It's kind of like these are actually this is the set of these. I'll have to show the other ones, but they were Blockbuster rentals and they had these weird strips on them. See, here's a copy of Hard Boiled. But it even has the Blockbuster viewer or parental permission, suggested. But they have these weird things to hold the tape in. So
it had the Blockbuster logo across it originally.
Oh, I see.
So it was their previously rented ones that they got on the bin, and so they didn't pop out when people lifted it up. It was a Blockbuster brand Scotch tape kind of thing that went
I've
across
just never
it.
seen that because, like, at my Blockbuster, they just shrink wrapped him again.
Mm.
And so it was a weird choice on their part, I guess. This was what I had to grab just because it's a weird appearance by Bruce Willis in a Demi Moore film, which that facial hair, he's almost unrecognizable. The Vanishing with Jeff Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland. It's an interesting one. And then I found this group of tapes from like the early 2000s. Once again, this Avril Lavigne era, right? Where she was on the radio and these movies were coming out that I have no recollection of, like Hard Cash with Christian Slater and Val Kilmer, Bokeem Woodbine. I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, and it's, we even got Daryl Hannah, like all these people in this movie, never heard of it. Hard Cash. Everything was hard these days. Hard Target, Hard Boiled. This one, Freeway, I have some recollection of Reese Witherspoon, Kiefer Sutherland. It says it's a lot of fun. I want to believe them. Brooke Shields is in it. This one here, Bookies? Look at this lineup. We got Galecki, Lucas Haas from Mars Attacks. Oh, and of course, Josie herself. All right, Josie and the Pussycats. I love that movie. I just watched is it She's All That? Is that the one she's in? I forget. Anyway, this was another one that I've picked up a copy recently, but not this, what feels like the original release, which is Walking Tall. Here we are again from Lightning Video. Okay, but this is one of those that's just like, this is a hard, heavy tape. Like it's solid. The label's a little damaged, but it's a pretty good one. We got Used Cars, which is a movie I hear about all the time. Want to check it out. I just wanted a nicer copy of Spaceballs, so I grabbed it. I think the one I have is like the kind of like it's our catalog, like our classics one. So I also was at a garage sale and ran into this. So a big box copy of The Wizard of Oz. It was the only VHS tape they had there. But then I got it home and I realized, oh man, I went to go like rewind it and I was like, the tape is gone. It's up inside the tape. It's broken. I'm like, man, I should have checked. I got too excited in that moment. Paid for a broken tape, but what are you gonna do? So, all right, well, that's it for VHS and movies. My third round will be kind of a free for all. So, Kevin, what do you got?
All right. This one of these does not fit in any category. I was up visiting my mom and for Mother's Day. Is it that long ago? Yeah, since recording last. Next to the church she goes to, there's an antique mall, so we usually I'll go to church with her and then I'll go over there. I'm redoing my kids' room, and I found this.
Oh,
and I was just like, I went nuts. I thought, even if he doesn't want it, I gotta grab this thing. So he was all excited. The only reason it's not in his room is because I took it down for this video right now. I mentioned it last time. There's a weird what order? Yeah, let me do it this way. There's this old hippie that runs a record store that I found, and I had to pick up lunch for work one day. Like I drew the short straw, so I was the one that had to go pick it up and kill time. I'm like, well, I'm right next door. May as well go in there. I don't know if he was just not in the mood for the day or if it was slow or whatever, but I'm like, dude, there's no one in here. Don't be, short with me. Like I probably should have walked out, but I found stuff. I am getting rid of a lot of CDs because I went ahead and did Spotify, but I enjoy these like mix ones and just to discover something new. I remember seeing this when I was younger, Aggro 2000, and it's just like it's of its time. Cold Chamber, Static X, Rammstein, Bloodhound Gang, Fear Factory, Typo Negative. Like it's of its time, but there were some good ones on here. Stone Cold Metal.
Wow, that's cool.
Steve Austin hand picks his favorite songs here. Scorpions, Kiss, Deep Purple, Dokken, Another Kiss, Foghat, Def Leppard, Rainbow.
I didn't know Steve Austin was a Kiss fan. Now I'm excited.
God of Thunder and Detroit Rock City are on here.
Nice.
I grabbed this. I didn't know what it was. It just said the new face of goth metal. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's dirt cheap. I'll try it out. So I didn't know what it was, but it's actually really good. It's like very like orchestra metal, but like what they're singing about is very dark things, but it's sung and played so beautifully. Like I just kind of like played it and just chilled for a while. If you listen to the lyrics, it's like, but it's the music, freaking amazing. He had a couple of other stuff. I found Rocky and Bullwinkle season 1, and I love collecting cartoon seasons, so I grabbed that. This is a screener copy, so I don't want it, but it's a screener copy. So Turbulence 3 Heavy Metal, starring Joe Mantegna, Gabriel Anwar. I have no idea what's about. Thanks to Tarantino, I had to check this out. We have Pam Grier in Friday Foster.
Oh, cool.
And I can't tell if it's a cheap VHS copy or if it's faded. Like, I'm really not sure. You found one big box one. I found one big box one. We have The Ice Pirates, which is just such a... If you've seen the movie, then you know it's ridiculous. And you know certain things that are in the movie. So I had to craft that. Now, that done, all right, a couple bucks at his store, went on my way. I found out there's another store next to work.
Oh.
It's only open like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's like, it looks like it's some building that someone tried to transfer over and make into like, luxury apartments and storefronts underneath, and it didn't quite work out. You have to hit a buzzer to go in. I'm like, this is weird. So there used to be a bookstore in like a whole second floor of an antique store was taken over by this one guy. He just travels around, finds books and records, and then puts it in his store. I'm like, all right, cool. That place closed. I didn't know what happened. Turned out he has a space in this thing now. And someone that knows what they're doing for vintage clothing has her space too. And it's just, there's stuff everywhere. I only grabbed 3 things because I had to hold back. I could have bought like 50 things. Like, I'm gonna have to go back. He had, all right, it's me. We all know we make fun of me and stuff. The Red Sonja and everything. He's got the giant coffee table Frank Cho art books.
Oh.
And I really want them, but I was also like, I'm not carrying this back to work. I'm not gonna come into work carrying Frank Cho art. So I found other stuff, but that might be a future thrifting video. Okay, so Harlan Ellison is my favorite author. Almost all of his stuff was out of print. Damn if they didn't have a bunch of his stuff. So I have Partners in Wonder, Harlan Ellison in collaboration with 14 other talents. Straight up different ones. I found Medea, Harlan's World, where he came up with an alien world and let everyone else play in it. I was like, ooh. And then previously uncollected, precariously poised stories, Slippage.
Wow.
I didn't have any of them. So I was super excited. It's off camera. One of the bookshelves is nothing but Harlan stuff. Like that's the level he is for me. And Medea, I have it's not a full copy. I have something that looks like maybe an advanced paperback. Like, you know what it looks like? It looks like an ash can. Like if they did ash cans for paperbacks, that's what it looks like. So I have no idea what it was. I gotta imagine it was something like maybe at a book convention or, you know, like a free buy this thing many, many years ago. I have no idea what it was, but I know my copy's better. So I had to grab that. The old guy in his record store, maybe I'll go back once, twice a year just to dig through the VHS, but he didn't make me welcome. This other store, however, is going to see me more often.
That's awesome.
And then
Good. Glad you found a new spot.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
All right. So I'll continue on with our dead media. There can only be one, but in this case, there is actually two. It's the Highlander 1 and 2 box set, which I've never seen before. I think I have Highlander 1 on VHS. I don't know that I've ever seen number 2 because that was always the refrain from the Highlander fans when I was in high school was there was only one. There could only be one. Number 2 didn't exist. I'll probably watch it at some point, but I've heard it was a hard watch.
And there are many different versions to choose from. Yes.
Yeah. Another one I snagged, Night of the Living Dead, but this one's the colorized version.
Weird.
So yeah, I thought it was odd. Grabbed it. I usually grab if I see Night of the Living Dead anytime. I usually grab it. It's been copied in so many different like VHS formats that I mean, there's no value really, but they always sell when I have them at my table for a couple bucks. So, I mean, it's just always popular. I love the still collecting Christmas DVDs, especially sealed ones, and I found It's a Wonderful Life. Another one that I've never actually seen all the way through. I've watched parts and pieces. Goal was to watch this year, didn't get to it. I'm sure I'll watch it next year. I don't know if this is one that tickles your interest, Adam. I can't remember, but Surf Ninjas.
Yes. Woo!
I can't remember if this is one I watched when I was in high school or middle school, or if it was Three Ninjas. I always get the two mixed up. So I feel like there's three ninjas on the cover of this one as well. So that could be my confusion. I did find a beta tape. I don't find those very often. And when I do, I grab them. This one is the Rolling Stones, Let's Spend the Night Together.
Interesting.
Still on the hunt for a working beta player. Eventually I'll find one, or I'll just shell out enough for one that I know works. At a church rummage sale I went to, found DuckTales the movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that cover before. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's I've never seen the Movie Tunes Presents type of cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting one. And then the other decent one is a My Little Pony one, and those ones are usually pretty popular. Escape from Katrina.
Ooh, I remember watching that one on TV. I had it recorded on a VHS tape. Yeah.
And you had your heavy metal VHS. Well, I think we need to tone it down with some Christian heavy metal. Striper live in Japan had I don't know what, I've found a lot of Christian music that I remember people listening to when I was a kid in the 80s. And so I still have to grab it just for nostalgia's sake. It was never something that I was into, but it just tickles those memories. And then vinyl. I found a 45, Sun City, Artists United Against Apartheid. Featuring Pat Benatar's on here, Big Youth, Jackson Brown, George Clinton, Miles Davis, Peter Gabriel, Daryl Hall, Herbie Hancock, and many, many others. I haven't listened to it yet. Side A is Sun City. Side B is Not So Far Away. Then I got another 45, Glenn Frey, You Belong to the City. Huey Lewis and the News, I Want a New Drug. I don't know who this is, but it definitely looked 80s. Sapphire, Boy I've Been Told. And then Eye of the Tiger, the theme from Rocky by
Nice.
Survivor.
Yeah.
As Rocky back. I don't collect 45s really, but when I find them in the picture sleeves, I'll usually grab them if they're cheap, just because like I'm not typically not going to play a 45, but if I might display them for a reason or use them for something. So I like the pictures. And then 2 other albums, full-size albums I got. Haven't listened to them quite yet. Aja by Steely Dan. And then this one, my grandma always had the country music channel. I can't even remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Or
CMT and TNN.
Nashville Network.
Yeah.
And so she loved stuff like Statler Brothers and also the show Hee Haw. And so I found a Hee Haw album. that just reminds me of hanging out at grandma's house, hearing the music that she used to listen to. But I've actually gone through and watched some of those old Hee Haw episodes on YouTube, and they're still pretty funny. They're cheesy, but they're everything from back 70s and 80s comedy wise is pretty cheesy.
True.
So that's all I got for media right now, and then I'll finish it off with other.
All right. Well, I'll keep the music going real quick here as I close out. So this is a VHS tape I see all the time in my hunting. I live in Montana. People love the country style of film, and I haven't watched it yet, but it's a later Swayze, Next of Kin. So now I have the VHS and the soundtrack, which has like, you got Greg Allman, you got Ricky Skaggs, you got all George Jones, like just all these different kind of more country artists. So that was fun to grab. Was able to get George Michael's Faith album, which is cool. I found the Wham album a little while ago, so it's cool to get that. At that garage sale where I bought the unfortunate Wizard of Oz tape, they did have cassette tapes. Most of them were kind of beat up and terrible, but I got Aerosmith's Pump. So I was able to get that album. A lot of good hits on this one. I mostly just listened to the Big Ones album, and I was like, oh, a lot of them are from this album. Alice Cooper's Hey Stupid album, which is cool. This one has Feed My Frankenstein from Wayne's World from the soundtrack, so I was excited to grab that one. Also, at another garage sale, I only walked away with one thing, but it was a good one for $1. This is Anthrax's Among the Living album on CD, but still sealed. So like this is another one that has like a little bit of value to it because it's considered one of their best albums. And again, the vintage CD market is starting to grow a little bit. Then speaking of garage sales, like this last bit of the haul is kind of, I've been just stopping in and out as I've been running around town. We were traveling for Memorial Day. My kids were playing in a park. I'm like, dear, I saw a sign for a yard sale. Let me just run over there real quick. They had a free box that was just VHS and audio cassettes. I was like, yes. And then I looked and I was like, there's nothing here I really need except for this.
Nice.
Simpsons Sing the Blues, baby. I had this as a kid. I've had the CD for years, but I lost my tape. And this was just in like perfect condition. It was just beautiful. There's not even any scratches on the case. So that was awesome to grab. I was super excited about that. A couple more things here. One is just a random bag of toys. My son, he loves my vintage toys, so he can recognize them now. We were at the thrift store. So he saw one bag that had this weird Fred Flintstone bendy figure where he's like a young hip pop star. I don't know what's going on, but that was funny. I got to do some research on that. I already have the full collection of these, but I'm always happy to have another DC Happy Meal Looney Tunes, Super Looney Tunes, and then also this Power Rangers thing. I've been trying to figure out what it was. I even contacted William Bruce West. I was like, "Is this a pencil topper?" He's like, "Well, it'd be a big pencil." I'm like, "Yeah, like, did this go on top of maybe like a candy thing? Like, I don't know what this was, but it's kind of cool to find that." Let's see. Okay, I'll share this real quick. I haven't bought a VCR in a long time because I already have like 13 or 14. I don't need more. I have one of like every major brand, but this one was just a unique design, and I don't know what was going on with this. So this is an Emerson brand VCR. It's pretty basic. It's just silver, big deal, right? But then you flip it. What is up with this? I'm wondering if this is something, in the old days, early 90s, they had those like super vans that like they would have like a TV in them, they have the pilot chairs and all that. Maybe this like fit into a cabinet, and that's why that's designed that way. But I've never seen one with this shape. So I had to grab it for $4, Um, trying to decide which of these I want to do last. Uh I'll do these. So this is another garage sale find that I was super excited about. Recently on my newer show for Geekster, the Geek Out podcast, I was talking to Chad Young, and we were talking about collector's cups, right? And then wouldn't you know it, I found some collector's cups with just some beautiful vintage 80s Pepsi graphics here. So couple different designs, got this surfer dude on there. I don't know what year these are from exactly, but I mean, they look very 80s. So I'm thinking like at least like 89, 88. What's up?
Didn't they do a thing with like 24 different cans over the summer? Because that neon one you just showed looks similar.
Yeah.
And the girl with the glasses, maybe. Like I feel like there was something of collect the cans all summer long. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's the same graphics.
I was in 8th grade when those cans came out.
Oh, okay.
That was about 1990, 91. That Hold Your Neon one up again.
Yeah.
So the can that was based on was very controversial. I think that's the can because
Go ahead.
That's the Pepsi sex can. If you hold it up in the right way, it spells sex on the can somewhere. I don't know if it matches the art, but
Yeah.
You need two of them. It's the bottom of the one and the top of the other.
And people were like, subliminal messaging, Pepsi.
I have two. I can do it.
But those are pretty amazing, Adam. I've never seen the cups. I have a bunch of the cans, but I've never seen the cups.
Yeah, so I'm curious like where they were being sold, what thing. Okay, my last one here. This was a weird find. Every once in a while you come across something where it's a relic of a different time. I do not know the history of this, but I'm gonna pull it up here. You guys tell me if you've ever found this. I don't know where it would have been, a pharmacy or whatever. This gorilla in a cage, okay? And this is the Set Me Free gorilla, okay? It's a sensor controlled, okay? So it doesn't move, but it talks. Let's see if I can get him to talk. Unless I already ran out the battery. I put a new battery in him here. Let me flip this. But I mean, it was really dusty and not in great shape, and then I had to kind of clean it up and put it back together. But he's not talking. I think I accidentally left him on, but all he says is set me free, let me out of here, and it's a really generic voice on it, but I just thought it was so wild. Let me see if I got a year on this, because I don't think I saw one printed on it. Yeah, I still don't see it, so I don't know, but it was just, I mean, this is late 70s, early 80s for sure, just this look. But I would love to know the history, because I even went searching on eBay trying to find it, and I did not come across one. So I don't know. It's part of somebody's history though. So maybe I'll find somebody who's interested in the long run. But yeah, just a weird piece. All right, Kevin, what do you got?
All right. You know what I love is people that work at some of these places that do not know what they're doing, and they're not collectors, they're not experts like us. So it's an antique mall, and I see a wrestling tape. I'm like, oh, I want that. And then I look, and they got like $50 on it. I thought, you're out of your mind. I'm not spending $50 on any videotape. Like, you're crazy for it. But then there's a sign that's like, unmarked videotapes, 50 cents, clamshell / Disney, $1. Okay. So we start with a regular one from Coliseum Home Video. I was like, all right, cool. Box is beat up. That's fine. Tape actually, and what, I don't know if it was I don't think it was Blockbuster, but wherever it came from. And the thing that we like to do for these is count how many people are still alive, which is always sad as a wrestling fan. But then remember, clamshells must mean kids, so it's only $1.
Wow, we got a stack.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna take advantage of your ignorance here. WrestleFest 92. And a lot of these Coliseum ones were recorded just for the Coliseum videotape. Like, it's not like it was shown on Superstars, Raw later on, pay-per-view, Tuesday Night Titans. Like, a lot of it was just for this. The most infamous one was Bret Hart winning his first world title from Ric Flair was a Coliseum home video thing. So you're watching weekly TV, and all of a sudden Bret's champion. They're like, buy the Coliseum video to find out how. Crunch Classics with Earthquake on the front here. What's Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Sergeant Slaughter team up to battle the natural disasters. World Tour 92, which the funny thing was WWE Network was playing, through Peacock now, it was playing some like matches from around the world thing, including like a lot of these, but also including like newer ones because they're touring so much worldwide right now. There's no way this is the right one, and I just did not realize it. No, Invasion 92. So we got Ric Flair on it. I don't believe that's the actual one. Oh, I should check this out. The Nasty Boys visit a video store.
Oh, wow.
that might be a good archive something there. All right. WrestleFest 91 is exploding with action. And as I'm losing my hair, which the light does not do any good here, grooming tips with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. So I'll take some notes. And finally, Rampage 92, which featured a 40-man battle royal. Like, just crazy. And like, the tapes don't look that bad either. I think because it was printed on the tape, and we're not worrying about stickers here. And then you guys got me like really, yeah, that's heavy compared to other tapes. You got to be really paying attention to that now for the quality of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, what a haul.
I was just like, if you're going to be that stupid, I'm going to grab these. And I don't know if I live in I know I live in an ignorant area, but sometimes it's to my advantage.
Yeah, great. Wow. All right, Chris, you got something to blow our minds at the end here?
Oh, I got handfuls of stuff still. So one of the other things, again, we've talked about how I collect. My collection interests span many, many things, and it's basically anything that I caught my eye when I was a kid or wanted. My mom sold Tupperware when I was little for a little bit during those points of time. So I'm always looking for cool Tupperware. I found some vintage stuff that I'm not going to show today, but at a garage sale, I found this licensed Burger King Tupperware container that is, I guess, just, you want to save your Whopper for seconds? I'm not really sure, but it was $1 or 50 cents or something. So I had to take it. It was like, it had to come home with me. And I'm not even a Burger King person, but it was just pretty amazing. Also out garage sailing. I know a lot of times we really focus on vintage or retro stuff, but when I guess this is almost retro because it's almost 20 years old. It's getting to that point. I do look for things I can flip, even modern stuff. And we all love dead media. And sometimes you need something to play your dead media. So I found this Frozen branded CD player. and still works. The sound quality is pretty good, and it was a couple bucks. And I was like, I go, oh, so you're selling that? And she goes, yeah. She figures she's outgrown it. It was probably about a 12-year-old that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty sad, but I will give her the money. Normally, it's more than I'd probably spend on something like this, but I go, it's going to the kid who's selling their childhood. I can part a little bit with that, and I mean, I'll probably flip it for 2 to 3 times what I bought it for. I paid $5. I'll probably put it next time I do a flea market. It'll probably sit out for 5 or 10 to 15. I don't do vintage clothes a lot, mainly because I don't know vintage clothes, but I do know enough to know that this is a very 90s color and it's a Nike hat. So I had to snag it. It was this was a good bins find. It cleaned up really nice, wasn't stained or anything. Hats are usually easier for me to grab because I can sort of I can tell a little bit easier on hats whether they're vintage or not. And usually they're the things that people don't look at as much in the when I'm doing my hunting. I had the glowworm castle last episode. This episode, I actually have a real glowworm, and he still lights up. Battery still works. Pretty clean. Picked him up from a person I buy stuff from pretty regularly. Also, as well from her, I got these, which is a big bag of sealed Ewoks card games.
What?
So she had a handful of them, so I grabbed I think I pretty much grabbed all the ones she had. Or no, I grabbed 2 of each. She had 3 different ones. So those were a pretty decent score. So 3 for my collection and 3 to go to the show.
Awesome. Wow.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese is another thing of mine that I love to collect. One of those estate sales I went had. So this was the only clean cup. There was another cup that was completely still full of Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Huh.
And a bag full of vintage Chuck E. Cheese tickets. So I'm going to be sorting through those and trying to separate them by year and quality. And I'm going to put some in my collection, and the others I'll probably end up selling if I can put some sets together of different years. Some smaller stuff I found. One of those estate sales, I found a stack of vintage Nintendo Power cards.
Whoa.
Out of Nintendo Power. It looks almost like there may be the whole set of 135 here.
I was just gonna say that's a big stack, man.
Yeah, pretty good for a couple bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Who can't pass up on a crisscross cassette tape? I know I can't. I got this. Among other things I'm a fan of, NBA, Portland Trailblazers. I grew up being a Trailblazers fan. Rest in peace, Bill Walton, who passed away yesterday. But I got a youth commemorative belt buckle they gave out in 1977, the year the Blazers won the championship, which is also the year I was born. So that's the other connection for me. Still working on my set of McDonald's Stompers. I don't know if either of you guys ever did Hot Wheels or were into Hot Wheels at all, or cars. I'm kind of into them, but not really. I'm not a big collector. I'm definitely not somebody that, like, I was too young to like be into red lines. If you guys know what red lines are, the original ones from the 60s and 70s. But I did find this at one of my meetups. It's a red line of a Hot Wheels car that it's gone through a number of names in the past years. I think it was called the Silver Bullet or one time. We used to set up our old slot car tracks throughout our house and see how high we could launch our cars and see which ones would go the farthest or race the fastest. And this car always won because it was the heaviest car, because it was just pure steel. There was no, and it just flew. So my brother still has our original one that's just chipped to no to beyond recognition because it's slammed into walls and furniture and other cars.
Yeah.
I ended up buying a copy of it. I found a copy of the one we had still in the box at a flea market a few years ago and gave that to him. But finding the original version as a red line was pretty neat for me. I've been on the hunt for this guy for a while, and I still want to find a couple more because I want to do some custom work too. But a Mr. T action figure, so GI Joe sized. I had a buddy that had one of the buddy at our little swap meet had this, and it was like the very first item I bought. And then another buddy had this, which this stupid piece of plastic cost me about $50, and it's the final piece I needed to complete my Luke Skywalker 12-inch Luke Skywalker from the 1977.
Wow.
Yeah, accessories are stupid expensive, but like he had an extra piece, and it was like at that point in time when it was available and it was an impulse buy, but now my figure is pretty much complete. Couple more things to finish us out here. Also at our little swap meet, battle trolls or stone protectors, not battle trolls, a little smaller than battle trolls. These are about Ninja Turtle size.
Yeah.
I thought they're pretty neat and still in box, so I got a pretty good price on them. I love the little glowy gem things that they have
the
in them.
Sparky chest thing. Yeah.
Those are always cool. A few modern toys I picked up from the swap is a modern Transformers 2-pack with Ariel and Dion. I don't know who they are, but I've been collecting modern Transformers and just setting them all up. I'm sort of happy to get more Cybertronian type figures. And then Chuckles for the G.I. Joe classified run. Pretty cool trade I made with a friend. And we're slowly digging in the end. Goodwill the other day netted me a Ninja Turtles case with there's a couple weapons inside floating around as well. Didn't cost me much. A little more than I would normally pay, but it's one of those ones where I've found if I have a case and I have loose figures at flea markets, I can usually sell them for a little bit more. If I throw enough figures to fill a case, then I can usually charge a little bit of a premium. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons I grabbed that. Also grabbed a Stompers case.
Oh,
no Stompers yet, but I just sold my other Stompers case, so this one just like it's almost the day after I sold one, I got a new one, so kind of nice. Seeing what we're gonna pass on, I got a couple more things. One thing I found at Goodwill is I saw this big plastic bag of dinosaurs, and I think we talked about these last time.
Yeah.
Or brand of them. But they are definitely dinosaurs. They're the Wendy's promotion, and I didn't realize they came in as many different colors as they did. Because I have a handful of them of the same molds, but not these colors. So, but just the big, and I don't have the T-Rex, so it was pretty fun to find a T-Rex to add to the stack. I'm gonna have to find a way to display all these, but there's a million of them now, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with them. I'm going to have to start doing rotating displays because I got too many hobbies and toys that are all up on stuff. One of my buddies was having a garage sale, so I swung by and I bought some trading cards of his. Typically, if you want to see my trading cards, I don't share too many of them on here. You can go onto my, I either have them on Instagram or on X. But I did buy a original Star Wars Scout Walker, missing its gun, but I have a gun in one of my parts bins somewhere, so it'll be complete once I get around to it. Another thing I traded for, A-Team lunchbox. Nothing inside. No thermos, but it's a pretty cool lunchbox. Also, the kid who had it definitely loved the Trailblazers because I got a couple Trailblazer stickers on there. And then the big finds this week, the high-end ones. You're talking about cups. Here's some glasses. I got an Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett glass.
Wow.
And then these ones are the whole reason I went to one of those flea markets. I saw it on there. I didn't think they were going to be around. I paid a decent amount for them. I didn't pay full like market value, but I probably paid close to 60% of what market would be, 70%, because they're unique. I haven't seen them before. But Super Mario 2 glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And they're pretty, like, looking at them on eBay, they sell for a good chunk of money. I spent more than I would normally ever spend on glasses, but the uniqueness of them, I had to have them. I don't have any of these in any Nintendo ones in my collection right now, and they are vintage, so they had to come home with me. And the fact that they were still there, even though I got there about 2 hours after the estate sale started, told me that they were there for me, I think.
Meant to be.
Yep. And that's the end. I got other stuff, but I always have other stuff. We can't get to everything we pick up.
There's always another month. The well never runs dry. There's always more to be found out there. So this is great, guys. Man, so excited that we all found stuff that that caught our eyes and that warmed our hearts. That's awesome. That's what it's all about here on the Thrift Store Horde. So thank you, everybody, for checking out this video. Stay subscribed here on the Retro Network Geekster YouTube channel because we have more to come for you. We will be back in 30 days time and the summer is beginning. It really is garage sale season now. This is where I feel like we're gonna be getting a lot of opportunities go to people's homes that way as well. So stay tuned, and until next time, we'll see you later.
This has been a presentation of Geekster Media.